Okay, hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Rhythm Shift. This is Zartan, and today the review is going to be of the G.I. Joe Classified series original release Zartan figure. Okay, so this figure came out in, was it wave 3? I can't remember if it was wave 3, because wave 1 was Roadblock Duke, Scarlet, Snake Eyes and Destro. I believe wave 2 was Cobra Commander, Red Ninja and Gung Ho. So yeah, I think Zartan is a wave 3 figure. Either way, he's figure number 23 in the line. And as you can see, I've got the box here. And I've had this figure for some time, so I've already taken him out of the package, but I'm just showing you the package for the sake of this review. So, pretty standard affair for the G.I. Joe Classifieds. As I said, this is number 23. And here you've got a shot of Zartan, which, to be honest, I'm not really very fond of this artist personally. And I've said this before, but I kind of wish that G.I. Joe Classified had a unified look, because some of the artwork is incredible. You know, particularly for the Cobra Infantry box. Snake Eyes was pretty damn good. Who else was really, really cool? Flint was cool. Lady J was cool. Oh, Major Blood was awesome. But you know, some of these card packaging artists aren't up to, they're not up to scratch, man. For example, the Duke one was awful. Arctic Mission's Storm Shadow was pretty awful. But then you get some great ones. But this is one, I'm not really fond of this artist personally. But on the back of the box, you get this incredible packaging art. See, this is what I'd love if it was more unified and consistent in its style like this. Excuse me. Because with Hasbro's other lines, such as Marvel Legends or Star Wars Black Series or even Power Rangers Lightning Collection, you have a unified look across the brand in terms of the packaging art. And I think it would be nice if there was some consistency with the packaging for G.I. Joe Classified. But I mean, this back packaging art kind of makes up for it. You've got all these characters. You see Cobra Commander, Destro, the Baroness. You've got the Alley Vipers, which have recently been revealed. You've got Firefly there, Cobra Viper, Red Ninjas, Cobra Infantry. Well, you can call him Cobra Trooper, I guess, or Cobra Infantry. Who else we've got? We've got Duke there, Snake Eyes, Scarlet, Roadblock, Gung Ho. But interestingly, Gung Ho has a blue vest here, which is what the original toy had, and it would have been great if we'd have got Gung Ho in these original colours. But alas, you've got Zartan himself there, the man of the hour. You've got Beachhead there. I think that's all you've got in this one. But again, beautiful art. You've got some statistics for Zartan on the side of the box here, but I can never be bothered to go to the Hasbro website to break these down. I'd much rather just go on the internet and look at the vintage Zartan bio, because you get a much better bio in my opinion. So here is Zartan himself, and let me get the box out of the way, and we're going to talk about this figure in this review. And I'm also going to do a review of the Master of Disguise version of Zartan, which is the version that's just been released on the Hasbro PulseCon for was it October 2020. So let's just get some stands in this figure and you'll stand up. So here's Zartan, first release Zartan. So let me actually zoom in a bit on this guy. That's good. Actually, let me rather than zoom in, I'll just bring him forward a bit. Alright, that's good. Let's bring you forward. So here's the figure. Now what I'm going to do is that first, before I discuss this figure, I'm going to read out his bio, because I said this before, but when I was a youngster collecting G.I. Joe in my childhood, the file cards really gave me a great insight into, okay, what's this character's personality going to be, what's his strengths going to be, his weaknesses, you know. It really gave you a good insight into how the character would fit into your, you know, your own storyline or play pattern. So let's read this, right? This is from the first release of Zartan, which came out in 1984. It says, is Master of Disguise, codename Zartan, file name unknown, aliases too numerous to list, birthplace unknown. See, Zartan was a very mysterious character, and that's really, really cool. So it says, Zartan can alter his skin color at will to blend in with his environment. He is also a master of makeup and disguise, a ventriloquist, a linguist with over 20 languages and dialects, an acrobatic contortionist, a practitioner of several mystic martial arts. Very little is known about his background and origins, but most security agencies agree that he must have had some European military academy training, probably St. Cyr. Psychological profile: extreme paranoid schizophrenic, grows into various multiple personalities to such an extent that the original personality becomes buried and forgotten. So, that's his 1984 bio. Here's his 2021 height. Figure stands just under 6.5 inches. Yep. And that bio is pretty cool. And Zartan is a very mysterious character, but also a very integral part of the G.I. Joe storyline, particularly in the comics, where he had a ongoing storyline which spread between some other characters such as Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, and also he is the leader of the Dreadnoks, and just a very, very interesting character. Now in that bio it says that his skin can change colour to blend in with his environment, and on the original release of the Zartan toy in 1984 from the original line, he had an effect where if you was to put him in direct sunlight, his skin would turn like a dark grey type of colour. And in the G.I. Joe animated series, they kind of played on that, where if ever he was in sunlight, his skin would change and stuff like that. But unfortunately, on this figure, this classified release, it doesn't have that colour change feature. Now that feature is featured on the PulseCon exclusive version, the Master of Disguise Zartan, but this regular release doesn't have it. Now, when I found out that they were going to be bringing out the Master of Disguise version of Zartan for the PulseCon exclusive, I was a bit pissed off because obviously I'd already paid good money for this Zartan figure, and I feel it can be a bit frustrating sometimes when you purchase the figure and then a few months later they release an updated version of it with more accessories and more features, which kind of makes your original purchase redundant. So because the Master of Disguise version came out and it had so much more accessories, I was reluctant to get it, but I couldn't pass on it because it had so much going for it in terms of, you know, various masks, you know, the sniper rifle, and also the skin color changing feature. I thought, you know what, man, let me get it, and if needs be, I might put this one up for sale on eBay, but I'm never going to get what I paid for it. Like, if this was a £20 figure, I'll be lucky if I get half of that, but you know, that's part of toy collecting. But I'm actually not sure if I'm going to sell this one now, because it does have some cool things going for it, and it might be nice to have an alternate look for Zartan. So let's talk about, first of all, his articulation, and we'll talk about his accessories. So you can remove his hood, and you can also remove this scarf around his neck. I'll just do that for now. So articulation wise, and let's take a look at the figure. He has, this is how he looks without his cowl. And this is funny because he actually looks like someone who I knew in real life, who had the same kind of look except minus the face paint. Zartan's got this very mysterious type of face paint, which kind of makes him look like, what's that guy, them guys from that rock group, I believe it's called Kiss. Or even, it reminds me of like classic WWF, there was a tag team in WWF back in the day called Demolition. And they used to have this type of face paint as well. But yeah, he's got that going on. He's got a bald head, which I would never have known he had a bald head. In fact, when I was a child and I used to see images of Zartan, I mistook his cowl for his actual hair, but it was actually a cowl, you know. So that's that. So that's how he looks. Articulation wise, you can look left, right, up and down. No hindrances there. He has body armor, but the shoulder plates move up and down, so you can rotate his arm up with ease, no problem there. You can move out laterally like that. He has double jointed elbows, as you can see there. He's got wrist articulation, and the hinge on the wrist on this figure is Okay, you got an up and down wrist hinge on the left hand, and on the right hand, oops, I dropped his backpack. On the right hand, you've got also an up and down hinge on the right hand, so that's kind of cool, right? Get his backpack. I dropped it on the floor. Right. So he has ab crunch where he can bend forward that far, also bend back that far. He has a waist rotation, but mine's a little bit stiff, so I don't want to turn it too far. He can kick forward with his legs about that far. He can move out laterally with his legs, and he's got those drop down hinges, so you can get the splits with him like that. He has double jointed knees, so you can get a nice deep bend on them knees like that. And he has low upper boot cut, so you can rotate his lower leg, and he has ankle rocker and up and down motion, so you can pivot and move his ankles. So that's cool. Articulation wise, no problems there whatsoever. There's no hindrances, say for example like with characters such as Flint or Firefly, where they have an overlay on their torso where you can't bend them forward or back. That's not a problem with Zartan, because with the design of Zartan, he was kind of made to show off a lot of his skin, because obviously they were selling it on the strength of the colour change feature. So the design of his costume does actually show a lot of his skin. Now he comes with his cowl, which is cool, to complete the look for Zartan. He also comes with his neck scarf, which is the same one that came with the Cobra Viper, but this is just in a different colour. And it's open here, so you can easily just thread it on his neck, so we'll do that now. So you put this around his neck, like that, and then you can put the cowl over his head, and that kind of completes the look for Zartan, and that looks pretty awesome. If you ask me, this is a really cool looking Zartan. Now, in terms of his overall colour scheme, is very muted. Like, it's a lot of black, brown and dark red in his overall colour scheme, which doesn't really look like the animated series version of him, where he had a few more colours in him and some silver highlights and stuff. But again, those issues have been rectified with the Master of the Skies Pulsecon exclusive version of Zartan, but this one still looks pretty cool to me, I think. Now, he comes with some other accessories. He comes with his backpack, which is very reminiscent of his 1984 vintage toy. Gun, which again doesn't actually look like a real world gun, but at least it's not a very nerf looking gun, and it does resemble his 1984 release gun. He comes with a face mask, which again, the vintage toy face mask he came with looks somewhat like this, but it had a full beard on it. And when you actually put it on that 1984 Zartan figure, it actually made him look like a Renaissance painting version of Jesus, which is a bit weird. You know, I don't think that was a mistake. I think the toy designers put that in there for a reason. Whatever reason, who knows. He has his backpack, which opens up, and you've got some sculpted details on the inside. I'm not sure if they're going to come up very well on camera because the light's not really shining too well into it there, but it's nice to have the sculpted details. And the face mask fits inside this socket here. So if I just put it back in, you can store the mask like that, and that's pretty much like the vintage toy. And then you close this up, and obviously Zartan can put this on his back. He's got a whole peg hole in his back where you just slot that in. Again, much like the vintage toys, except if it doesn't really stay in too well. Like if you wobble him, it will fall out. Personally, I think the peg hole is a little bit too high up on the back, which is why it doesn't really sit in there snugly, but it's okay. You could probably put some tissue in there maybe to wedge it in there, and it'll probably hold in a lot more securely, but it's okay. Now, the other accessories he comes with are a little bit pointless if you ask me. You know, when I first got this figure, I was thinking, man, why did they give us these little trinkets rather than another alternate face mask? Well, you get this cobra, well, I think it's a cobra, but well, it's a snake head, a dead snake head, and a dead monkey's paw. These accessories, I don't really use them because you're supposed to either clip them onto his belt like so, Just getting that in there. See, it doesn't really stay in too well. And that's part of the problem with these, because they're right by his leg. So if you move his leg, these tend to pop off and fall off, and you can lose these very easily. Or alternatively, you could put them in the holes on his backpack. They could go in like that. But same again, they don't tend to stay in very well. And they can be lost very easily. So I just keep these in storage. Because, you know, they'll just fall off and whatnot. But if you want to, you could put them on there. Now the interesting thing is that there's actually 3 holes on his backpack. So I'm wondering if there was a third accessory that might have been cut from the budget, because there's 3 holes but only 2 accessories. So that's quite interesting. Or maybe there are even more, because he's got 2 holes on his belt which you could put accessories in. So that's you could potentially have him with 5 trinkets. But I don't know, maybe they were cut from the budget of the figure, who knows. He also comes with a knife which goes in his sheath on his back here, on his lower back. You can take that knife out, and it's quite a nice looking knife. It does look rather sharp. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that, I just had to do something. Right, so yeah, it does have this knife which does look quite sharp. It's actually quite a cool looking knife. I do like that, rather than the butter knife that came with Snake Eyes. You know, this is the knife that came with classified Snake Eyes. It doesn't really look very sharp. This one does look a bit more threatening, and you know, that's not a knife. No, that's a knife. So yeah, that's that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to show how his face looks with the mask. So you can take this off, open up his backpack, take out the face mask. Now this mask literally just slips over his face like that, and it does tend to stay on very well. So it clips on like that, so that's, you know, okay. But then to complete the look, you put the cowl over his head, and if you get it to sit correctly, it does actually look like, you know, a completely different figure, which I think is very nice. I mean, it's supposed to be the Master of Disguise, right? I hope that's the light's catching this. Yeah, I hope the light's catching this. Sorry if it's a bit dark, but yeah, there we go. So that does look like a cool alternate character, and it's not the Renaissance painting looking character that you had in the 80s so overtly. Now put this back together, and I'm going to put his gun in his hand to complete the look. There we go. So that's Zartan. Now, is this figure worth buying? Well, I honestly have to say, if the version that they just dropped on the PulseCon didn't exist, then I'd say, yeah, this is a good figure. Although he doesn't have the color change ability, he does still look quite cool. But now the PulseCon version is out, I'm not sure if I can actually recommend this, unless you're going to get him for a deep discount price. Like, for example, if you was to pay £10 for this guy, maybe he'd be worth £10. But otherwise, if you can get hold of the PulseCon one, you might want to hold out for that, because you get a lot more with it. Now let's show how he looks with some other characters. So I'm going to bring in Mr. Destro. Damn, I need some stands. Maybe Destro will stand up on his own if I'm lucky. Oh, he does. So there's you see, got your Destro there. Let's bring in another character. Maybe a Joe this time. Alright. So I'll put Scarlet in the mix. Forgive me, I'm just trying to find some display stands to stand these characters up. Right, so here's Scarlet. Right, so here's classified Scarlet entering the scene. Give her a stand here. There she goes. She's gonna stand up. Now Zartan falls. There we go. No, Destro falls. She's... Oh, it's all going wrong. But no, it's okay. So there's Destro. So then you've got to look at him in some sort of context. Let's pan down. Yeah, there's G.I. Joe classified Zartan. He does fit in well with the other figures, and he is very good looking, man. I think he's a cool character. I mean, I've always enjoyed him as a character. And if you're into G.I. Joe, you kind of do need a Zartan because he's very, very important. I mean, he's the leader of the Dreadnoks. He's got a history going back with Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. He's a mercenary working for Cobra Commander. And I actually really like his history as well. The way that they say he must have had some kind of military training. I like that because the idea of Zartan being a highly skilled mercenary really fits into the world of G.I. Joe that I like to imagine with my figures and the play patterns I used to play with in the 80s. Although I didn't have the vintage Zartan figure, I never had him, but I did have many of the Dreadnoks. So yeah, it would be nice to see if we get some actual Dreadnoks coming soon, such as I was a big fan of Road Pig, Monkey Wrench, you know, the original three as well. Was it Buzzer, Ripper and Torch, Zorana? You know, the Dreadnoks were quite cool, man. So it would be nice to get some more of them in the classified line to build out their ranks. Also, I should say, to flesh out their ranks. So I'm just going to put Zartan on a rotation to give you a final look at the figure. There we go. Put his backpack back on, and let's get him on rotation. So yeah, that's a look at the Hasbro G.I. Joe classified Zartan figure. Once again, do I recommend him? I recommend him if you can get him for a very, very deep discount price, which you may be able to get on eBay, because some collectors may be selling this version of Zartan once they're upgraded to the Master of Disguise version. However, if you can track down the Master of Disguise version of this character, I'd say that would probably be the better investment, because you get so much more. It has a lot more going for it in terms of what you can do, and it's got other face masks and everything. I haven't actually opened and fully examined my Master of Disguise Zartan, but I think that will be the next review that I do, because I kind of want to get these two out back to back so people can make a good informed choice as to whether or not they want to get the Master of Disguise version or if they want to get the regular version. So this figure's okay, but as I said, now that the better version is out, I'm not sure if I could really recommend it. But if you can find it on eBay for a very fair price, then maybe it's worth snapping up, because it is a good figure, you know. And if you're not a big fan of Zartan and you can live without those other accessories, then this one's okay. So that will conclude the review. On to the next one. Thanks for watching, and yeah, I'll catch you on the next review.